I am a professional attention seeker. My income is based entirely on how many people I can get to look at me at any given time. And it becomes a little intoxicating, to where the question of, how can I evoke some emotion today, is often my number one priority, even if I don't get paid for it. And the Tesla Model 3 has now long been called the California Camry. They're kind of just the default car you buy if you're living on the West Coast nowadays. But this was not always the case, especially not here on the East Coast of North Carolina. In fact, when I first got my Model 3, I was approached on an almost daily basis by locals. Half of them were just over the moon to see a Model 3 by Tesla in the flesh, while the other half were just curious like what kind of car it was, or they didn't recognize the emblem. And so many of them had never even heard of Tesla as a brand. And if you're someone that creates content, a valuable lesson to keep in mind is don't go looking for your audience. Don't go try to find an audience. After all, that would make you the follower. Instead, you must attract your audience. You have to create things that draws people to you, because this makes them your followers instead. And unexpectedly, no matter where I went, people gravitated towards my car like a magnet. They were asking me if it's an Asian brand or a European brand, and how much it cost me to buy, and if there's a backup engine for when my battery dies. And a very common question was if the iPad stuck to my dashboard came with the car, or if I had to buy it separately. But this is not why I initially purchased a Tesla. I got it delivered in 2019 when I was already 5 years deep into the Tesla community, so I had just wrongfully assumed that, based on my own obsession, everyone must be familiar with the brand by now, just because I had spent so much time involved with Tesla and Tesla owners. And the brand itself is notorious for having some of the most boring paint colors known to mankind. And as they kept pumping out more and more Model 3s, it literally became a common occurrence to walk up to a Tesla and accidentally try to get into the wrong Tesla, because almost everyone would go with the free paint color option, which at the time was black. And so this hilarious first world problem was one of the many reasons that the virus of vinyl wrapping your Tesla Model 3 began to spread. Now, wraps are not exactly cheap or easy to do yourself, but with black paint, smooth minimalist body panels, flush door handles, and an all-glass roof were the perfect formula for a color change vinyl wrap. It's so perfect, in fact, that I would personally bet the Model 3 is the most wrapped vehicle of all time. And after scrolling through literally hundreds of colors and textures and finishes, I personally landed on 3M 1080 Glacial Frost. This chameleon-esque meld of blues and purples with a satin finish, and the fact I couldn't find any other Teslas with this exact wrap, felt perfect. I ordered a roll, as well as satin black for a chrome delete and a pillar delete, and I got to work. Okay, I knew I loved this car, but now I couldn't stop looking at it. Like, I was so intoxicated by some plastic stuck to my car. I don't know, I was just over the moon. I thought it was so cool. And then I went shopping. I parked, I got out, and already someone's walking over. He compliments my car and he asks a few questions. I go inside, and from the store's window as I'm checking out, I can see more people approaching my car outside, and they're taking pictures of it. So I check out and I head back over, and people are literally hanging out around the car. I say hi and they assume I'm just like another curious bystander, but then I open the door and they realize it's mine. I had accidentally organized my first Tesla meet and greet by going shopping. So we chat for a bit, I get in the car, I drive off, and then the next day, it happens again. And within a month of wrapping my car, about 100 people that I had never met before went out of their way to come check it out. And within a year, that number surpassed 1,000. Now, I wasn't keeping exact count, but on average, I was having 3 to 5 interactions per day just about my car. The number of people who would ask to take a picture of it quadrupled. The number of people who would roll down their window and ask to race at a stoplight tripled. And the number of people who would ask to literally get in my car and go for a ride doubled. Now, most of these interactions were super short. Like, often, literally, it was just 1 or 2 sentences, which I enjoyed. It was really fun. It was a quick way to engage with someone new. But other times, they would stick around and we'd chat for like 5 or 10 minutes. And there were times where I would end up talking to some random guy in a parking lot for an hour. And then coming across other vinyl wrapped Teslas especially other purple Teslas, it felt like discovering my long lost twins, my long lost siblings. And after a little while, my car became a recurring character around town. It was like I wasn't a local celebrity, but my car was, and I just got to kind of experience the joy of it. Nobody, this is gonna sound crazy, but nobody felt like a stranger when they would come running over excited and happy. It was the perfect icebreaker, and it just made me realize everyone in town is really approachable and really nice. And I think it's partly because driving a car that visually stands out, it subliminally tells people around you hey, this guy, he likes attention. So he's probably approachable. He probably won't mind you coming up. There would be the occasional local that would actually apologize for bothering me or taking up my time. They'd be like, oh, sorry, I'm sure you need to be somewhere, but I would just love to chat or get a picture or whatever. But I would just flat out tell them, I was honest. I would just be like, these interactions are one of the reasons I love having the rap. So you're kind of making my day by talking to me about it. The same way my YouTube channel is the foundation of my online identity, the Tesla became the foundation of my local identity. In fact, it became a game where if someone was starting to approach me in public, I would try to guess to myself, okay, is this a channel viewer that recognizes me, or is this someone that likes Teslas and wants to talk about the car? And sometimes it would be a mix of both, especially recently now that I'm making more Tesla related videos. And subscribers would frequently recognize this as Go Herping's car without even seeing my face. They would know it's me inside and just come over and chat anyways. One subscriber noticed my car in a parking lot and then literally came inside the store. She wasn't she wasn't there to shop at this store, but she passes my car. She's like, oh wait, that's Go Herping's car. So she parks and comes in the store to come find me. Which, yes, you could say that's a little bit creepy, but she was actually nice. So yeah, a shout out to her. She was cool, I guess. And there have definitely been times where I wish the car wasn't wrapped. Like the time where a pair of police officers flat out said that they wouldn't have noticed me allegedly breaking the law if it was a different color. Anyone that says red cars are a cop magnet have never driven a purple color shifting car. One of the things I started worrying about was if it's a day where I'm just in a bad mood, or I'm feeling kind of antisocial and would rather just keep to myself, or maybe I'd accidentally snap at someone and let my emotions out in public if I just had something else going on and I'm just not in the mood to entertain these random strangers coming up. But honestly, once I actually did run into these moments, I'm having a bad day or I'm really tired, I realized that, this is gonna sound kind of cheesy, but having some random smiling stranger come up to me and say hi, I was like, oh, I actually feel kind of better now. So yes, there was never a moment where I was alone in public because people were always surrounding me. But I realized, you know what? I thought I would hate this, but I can work with this. I actually don't mind this that much. Though I did have another worry, which was that someone would approach me on a day that I'm super unpresentable. Let's say I just rolled out of bed and I'm all I didn't shower. I'm all stinky. And I threw on some random clothing from the day before and my hair's all over the place. But in reality, this also happened. And it kind of just made me feel more comfortable in public, even if I'm not looking how I want to look. Nobody treated me any different when my hair was a greasy mess versus showered and conditioned and well combed, which helped me realize that I probably don't need to worry about my self-image as much as I think I do. The only time I was actually inconvenienced was if I was in a rush somewhere, or if I was traveling and I'm stopping at superchargers and people want to talk every time I charge, I'm just trying to get to New York or Florida or something. Or when I'm delivering for Amazon or doing DoorDash and customers just keep stopping me to talk about the car. And I'd feel bad because they're super excited, but then I have to apologize, sorry, I've got somewhere to be. I'm in a rush, I've got these deadlines. However, they'd always understand and they'd let me go. So even that was always okay. Okay, now I feel like I'm turning every video I post into this deep life lesson at this point. And it's not on purpose, but I can't stop learning things, okay? And every time I learn something, I feel like I need to tell you about it. All right, realistically, imagine you're in a deep red, super conservative rural town in the gayest looking electric vehicle you could possibly conceptualize. You stop at a gas station for some snacks and a group of lifted trucks pull up on you, or a gang of Harley motorcycles, and then 3 or 4 older, country guys come over to you. You might have a preconceived notion to where this is headed. At least the first time it happened, I did. I was like, oh God, what are they about to say? But man, I was so Wrong. Everyone, and I mean like literally everyone, is so nice and so cool. I mean, okay, let's take squatted truck drivers. I used to bash them online as much as any other person does. And while my car might be polar opposite to a squatted truck, we did have one thing in common. That is that we stand out in a crowd and we're both hated on the internet. So many of them would take initiative to come and say hi, or even take a picture of our black sheep of vehicles next to each other, and we'd chat for a minute. And it was so cool that I myself now go up to people, even if it's a car that I used to bash on, like a squatted Tahoe or something, and I'm like, oh hey, that's a cool build. And they're like, wait, really? Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. And then they swap a compliment with me. They're like, hey, I like your little Tesla thing as well. So if by any chance you've seen my Uber videos, some of this that I'm sharing might sound familiar, like with some of the takeaways. That basically being that I was expecting the worst when I began driving strangers around the state of North Carolina, only to realize that 99.5% of people are genuinely really friendly and really great to chat with, even if we have nothing in common. So both Uber driving and wrapping my car have been a great way to meet every type of person. Like, there were so many kids, like 8-year-old kids would drag their parents over to check out the car, as well as like 80-year-old elderly people. They'd like scoot their little electric Walmart wheelchair just to get a closer look and see what this like curly-headed Zoomer's up to. And it reaffirmed to me, similar to Uber, that anyone who's like, oh, society sucks, and like, I hate this city, and everyone's so rude, and people are the worst. Yeah, anyone that says that, they're 100% the source of their own problems. My favorite was always when the most like intimidating person you could imagine would come over and he would be like, man, this car is beautiful. Or when you have like the most anxious, reserved girl who would seemingly force herself. It was like she was like required to come and speak even though she doesn't want to. And she'd be like, hi, like, sorry for bothering you. I really, really like this car and I just want to let you know. And then she just kind of like shuffles away. Like, she didn't have to do that. But some sort of force urged her against her will to come and compliment the car. It's so niche and it's so specific. And it's not just me. Like, I'm still shopping for vinyl all the time. And if you look at the reviews of these different wraps, just every color, every finish, every shade, there's so many reviews that are like, everyone's talking to me about my car. Like, every day people are coming up to check out my car. And these are 5-star reviews because they like the attention, as do I. But I just did not expect it. Something important to keep in mind, though, is that these people were not gravitated towards me. They didn't care about me, but it was something that I owned. They like, if I was in a regular, I don't know, if I was in a boring black car, they would not have come up and said hi. Like, if I crashed my car, all of a sudden, all these people that feel like friends would just disappear. So I could see this experience getting to some people's heads where they feel a bit too special, maybe a bit egotistical. But I do feel in my personal case that I was a bit prepared for this, just as a YouTuber. As a personal example, this channel used to be about exotic reptiles, but when the animals disappeared from my videos, so did more than 90% of my viewers. And aside from the select few of you that made up that core audience at the time who stuck around, even on the internet, most people don't give you attention for you or for your personality, even if they say they do. And I was getting all these comments, like way more comments than 10% of my viewer base, being like, I'm always gonna watch, I love you, you have such a great personality. But no, that's actually a lie. It's generally for something you do or for something you own. Most of the viewers left. I wasn't recognized for who I was recognized for what I owned. And the same thing goes for when you get recognition with your car. Once I've completely restored this Model 3 to black, all of this local attention is going to disappear. Teslas are now so common that I'm just going to blend in with the crowd again. I'm just going to be another local stranger that people pass by and don't think anything of. And dare I say, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I don't know, it's really bittersweet. Because, okay, last year I bought a second Model 3 for a new series on this channel. It's just dark blue standard Tesla paint with a black interior and super dark tint. And I see a dozen Teslas exactly like this one every day. And the first day I drove this new but used Model 3, something felt like off. Like, the car was fine, it felt great, but nobody was nobody was looking at me and nobody was approaching me. Nobody even asked to race me. Like, what? What happened? Where's the stoplight races? I had become incognito in this new Model 3. But then I realized on the drive, I was like, wait, this isn't incognito. This is just being normal. And I'm just some guy in some car running errands and grabbing a McFlurry on the way home. Like, wait, hold on. Is this what other people have been experiencing? This is insane. I just exist. I just blend in. And so after getting a taste of what it's like to just be part of the crowd once again, I realized that I'm kind of a little bit burnt out of the attention. Not on YouTube. I still like the YouTube attention, but locally. Just specifically burnt out of driving a 3M satin flip glacial frost Tesla Model 3. But that's not to say that pulling this vinyl off up until this point has been easy. Like, I was really hesitating taking it off, and I'm still as in love with this color as the day that I put it on. The trunk here is by far been the most difficult part, and it's definitely what the rest of the car would be like if I waited any longer. You can see here, this is all glue residue that came off of the vinyl because it's just coming apart. Look, you can see all the pigment from the vinyl. Like, it's just glitter, basically. It's been flaking. Like, it's no longer just easily peeling. It just keeps breaking off like that. Yeah, this is what the whole car would be like if I let it all age. I'm glad I'm taking it off now. Still, this will sound silly, but I still take pictures of it when I'm like in a parking lot or walking towards it. And I've especially been procrastinating on removing it because this color is permanently discontinued by the manufacturer. But vinyl does not last forever. Even the most expensive, professionally installed wrap that's rarely driven, hand washed every week and kept in like a climate controlled garage, it still really shouldn't stay on the car for more than like 5 years, but depending on the finish and the material, as little as 1 to 3 years. A very common question is, does vinyl damage paint? And I'm always like, no, like as long as your paint's in good condition, no damage. You can already guess where this is going. The paint pulled off of my bumper, ripped clean off on that edge. My guess is like there was some movement and so the edge started chipping. This is the first, and I'm almost done. This is the first and only spot that it chipped. I just have the 2 doors and then this bit of the bumper, and next up is adhesive removal and then cleaning it. Okay, I just took a break. I went to Taco Bell, came back. I have not changed my technique. Like, it's improved as I've gone. But just again, I just ripped paint off the car. What? That's a huge chip. That's not even a chip. That's just a massive peel of paint. Teslas especially, the old 2019s, are not known for great paint quality, but still, I did not expect to rip paint off 2 locations. And what are the odds that they're at the same time when I haven't had any other paint pull off up until this point? Vinyl is very delicate and very temporary. And this Tesla was wrapped by a total novice who drove it for 150,000 miles and parked it in the sun for a few years. And you can definitely see the wear and tear and the imperfections when you get up close to it. Now, some of the damage and some of the imperfections are due to my just like newbie skills, like some bubbles and a few corners that didn't quite stay stuck to the paint. But other spots like chipped areas are from like rocks and road debris. Another driver on the highway had a blowout and part of the rubber from his tire hit my front bumper one time. I also hit a mailbox while delivering Amazon with my mirror. Whoops, my bad. And the horizontal surfaces on this car are definitely victim to the blaring sun for those years that I did not have a garage. And so it faded and discolored and has some permanent staining in it. And overall, I'm extremely happy with how this vinyl has held up. Not only the 3M material itself, but I would argue that my installation job wasn't too shabby. Another fun realization is that my paint has essentially been protected for well over 100,000 miles of driving. So while this car is going on 6 years old and has been heavily beaten down, the paint is basically brand new and hasn't come in contact with weather or debris since like early 2020, except for a couple tiny spots where vinyl literally pulled the paint off, so that's not ideal, but whoops. But man, it was a fun few years. I really enjoyed it. And I can guarantee that I will be wrapping this car again, but exactly when and exactly what color is still to be determined. So you're welcome to leave recommendations in the comments, whether it's a matte black or another purple, maybe a totally new color, maybe multiple colors, or even a custom printed, I don't know, maybe a Natasha, who knows. You can leave any ideas that you think might look interesting or fun or exciting in the comments for this. But in the meantime, I will get to experience a little blast from the past, where I'm back to just driving around my black on white Model 3 and accidentally pulling the door handle of the wrong Tesla when I pull up to a supercharger because I think the other black Tesla is mine. The locals immediately began noticing the color change. They were like, wait, the color's gone. What happened to the purple? It's so crazy. And finally, a huge thank you to all the channel members who have made the choice to just directly support me and support my videos. Because it's thanks to you that I can currently focus 100% of my attention on making quality videos that you hopefully get some value out of as well. So that'll be it for this one. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.